Now, here's the problem. You are neither coming from the Christian or the Islamic worldview, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you are attempting to falsify both the Christian and the Islamic worldview by virtue of your worldview.
Sure.
Okay, now you are implying the law of non-contradiction. Okay, now what makes the law of non-contradiction real in your world so that you can weaponize that against the Christian or the Islamic worldview?
I'd say it's self-asserting.
No, that's patently absurd what you just said.
Then I guess we disagree. See you later.
Oh, and he runs!
Can I take his place?
In a second, how can an abstraction, a universal, and by abstraction, I don't mean that it is in no sense real. For those of you, for example, the law of non-contradiction, the laws of logic, are an abstraction about the nature of each and every discrete entity or discrete state of affairs, that they equal themselves in a time index. They cannot equal or coexist with their negation, right? And that this would be true at all times and all places. How would that be self-asserting? Do each of these discrete entities tell you about themselves? No. Yes. Hey, Cracked, if you don't stop, I'm going to ban you from the room, okay?
Would it be fair to say that their contradiction would be unintelligible?
Well, it would be like Luke Skywalker trying to wield a lightsaber, but it doesn't have the crystal in it to generate the beam. Okay? How do they ground this universal? Okay?
Is it ever possible for a person with like an undeveloped worldview to critique another, or are they unable to ever critique a complete worldview so long as theirs is incomplete?
Can you repeat that again?
Is it ever possible for a person with an incomplete worldview to critique a complete one? So, like, if someone hasn't fully rationalized.
Okay. Yeah, okay. So that incomplete worldview, there are some things within my worldview I don't know. So that's incomplete. When you say incomplete, mean without a metaphysical primary or ultimacy?
Yes, like they haven't fully developed, I guess, the full basis of their theory.
Well,
Would it be possible for them to critique anything?
If they have no identifiable, attestable metaphysical primary, then all of their secondary states are unintelligible because they have no context. And if they have no context, they're unintelligible.
So I guess like if you came from a state that like wasn't from a Christian point of view, would they be incapable of like I guess distinguishing the rightness or wrongness of a Muslim one? Like if they haven't encountered the Bible yet?
I'm sorry, I was distracted by a DM. Could you repeat that?
I said if the person hasn't encountered like the Christian worldview, but they've encountered something like the Muslim worldview, would they be incapable of like grappling with it, or would they be forced to accept it until they were able to find a foundation for themselves?
In order to speak intelligibly, we have to have a worldview that has the fundamental attributes that provide for.
So I guess at that point in time, I think they would be forced to accept the Islamic worldview until they discovered the Christian one.
Well, the Islamic worldview is not internally coherent because Allah does not have all great-making properties. Okay?
I guess wouldn't they need their own ultimate to disprove that, or could they do it without it?
In order to defeat any worldview, you need to have a worldview that you can ground and defend. Okay, so they're gonna need a word. This is a worldview battle. This isn't just a minor skirmish on the battlefield.
Yeah, I just think that I would believe that like some people may be able to determine like the Quran may not be true, but they may not actually have the prerequisite basis to like fully remove like its. I guess if they haven't contended with
Okay.
like if you haven't seen the Christian Bible, what would you do?
If I say to you the sky is blue, are there certain unstated premises in order for me to state the actuality and intelligibility of the sky is blue?
I think so.
Okay. So what we're talking about is propositions are context specific, either explicit or implicit, overt or covert. Okay. So the fact that we might provide several concentric rings of proximate contextual explanations for a given proposition, the outermost contextual explanation, or we could look at it differently, meaning from like a pyramid structure, what would be more primitive for the first belief to be sustained? If the final most concentric contextual explanation is a brute fact, that in other words, it's stipulated to exist without any defensible reason whatsoever, then every belief that is attached to that or depends upon that would also be a brute fact, and therefore it would be uninterpretable. There would be no fundamental rhyme or reason why anything is. Okay? So either the facts in the world are what they are, starting in the mind and the plan of God, and then he institutes and he secures that the rock on the side of the road is the rock. And when I come along, if I recapitulate God's thoughts, okay, then I will have a correct interpretation of the rock in that worldview. Now, if I don't recapitulate God's thoughts about the rock, okay, then I will not have a proper intelligibility or a sustainable, intelligibility for the rock, okay? Because then what would the rock mean? Right?
I guess it would be, so they would be correct, but without meaning.
No, they wouldn't be correct. The biggest difficulty people have in understanding is they're not accustomed to thinking and reasoning transcendentally, right? This isn't what the average person does, right? So they think that if they just have several concentric layers of proximate explanation, that's it. But I want to know, what is the most primitive or foundational explanation for everything that it depends upon? If your most foundational belief is itself unintelligible, then everything that's based upon it will also be unintelligible in that given metaphysic. So when I say that, let's say, for example, an atheist cannot speak intelligibly, what I'm saying is, given his system, he couldn't speak intelligibly. But in God's world, he can be intelligible and speak intelligible, even though he's inconsistent with what he believes. So an atheist can count. He just cannot account for accounting.
Yeah. Can the mind take its order from the environment, though? For example,
you're going to have to repeat that. I'm having trouble understanding because of your accent.
Of course. Sorry about that, sir. Can the mind...
No. Stop. There is no need for you to apologize, okay?
Okay. Yes. Can a mind take its order from the environment? For example, I would have said that our mind is tuned by evolution to recognize the patterns in the environment in order to survive. So our mind takes its scales from the environment. The environment is ordered, and our mind was evolved to recognize this order in order to survive. So the order in our mind derives from the order of the environment, of nature. That's a good hypothesis.
Okay, so, well, actually it's not. Okay, so everything you just said presupposes that there are causal connections between events. We call that the causal principle, right?
Yeah.
Okay. It also presupposes among those causal connections that some of those causal events are the result of underlying regularities along with irregularities. We call that the uniformity of nature. Okay?
Yes, of course.
So, in your defense of the mind to appeal to an evolutionary world, you're actually appealing to biology, chemistry, physics, which is an appeal to the world where there's causal connections between events. Are causal connections between events real?
Yeah, of course. Because
what makes them real? What makes them real?
Cause and effect. The universe is ordered, isn't that right, sir? You are saying that...
No, sir, listen to me.
Yeah.
If I hand you $100 bill,
yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And you say, well, this isn't real. And I say to you, well, what makes it not real? Okay. So if you're going to put forth something to me that's real, I want to know why it's real. Okay. If you hand me $100 bill and I think it's a counterfeit and I hand it back to you and you say to me, yeah, don't say reality. Don't make me throw up.
Reality exists without minds. That is what I'm saying. You claim that...
Okay. All right. Yeah. How many times I've heard that? Okay. That doesn't address the question.
You are making a presupposition that...
May I finish, please? May I finish, please? I wasn't finished.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. We're talking about the causal principle. You're presupposing the causal principle foundationally in order to speak intelligibly about physics, chemistry, biology, evolution, and then the mind as an emergent property, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, if you pay me $100, and I hand you back and I said, no, give me another one, that's not real. And you say it is real. And I say to you, good, explain to me how you know it, what makes it real.
Exactly. Okay. So
you would then go into specificity as to what makes it real.
Yes.
So you say that the causal principle is real. Okay. Now I want to know, what is it that institutes and secures the perpetuity, the continuance of the causal principle?
I made a plausible hypothesis. You made a plausible hypothesis. We don't know either way. But what I had said...
Okay, so you don't know.
No.
So you don't know.
You don't know either, sir. So...
Yeah, sunshine.
What I
that's
did...
the two-quote fallacy.
Hey,
let's have a conversation. Hey, Socrates. Let's have a conversation here.
You don't let me
when you said, no, I'm not going to let you finish. Would you like me to boot you from the room?
No, okay, please continue.
Okay, good. Now, you just said, I don't know either. Yes. Is that statement conceding that you don't know that the causal principle is real?
Let me answer that. What I did now, I just demonstrated that what you like to present, what you are presenting as an absolute is not.
Stop. This is not an answer to my question.
You are making deductive arguments.
Okay, listen to me carefully.
Yes.
You are now bickering, which is what people do when they don't know what they're talking about. Okay, stop over talking me. You are bickering with me. You are not debating. Now, you just said, I don't know either. Does either include you?
Absolute. You are talking about absolute certainty.
Okay, right. Sir, listen to me. I am asking very simple questions, A or not A. When you say to me, I don't know either.
Me knowing doesn't affect the environment.
Okay, Socrates, you need to focus on what I'm saying, okay, instead of bickering.
Yes.
Okay? Now,
let me ask you a question, sir.
I don't, okay, I'm about to kick you out of the room.
Okay, yes, please. Please continue.
I would rather not do that. You are not being cooperative. You are bickering. Now, you said, I don't know either. So you're saying, I do not know that the causal principle is real. Is that correct?
I believe it's real. What I said, I believe that is what's going on.
Okay, I asked you, listen, you have a problem, sir.
Yes. No.
Whenever I ask you a simple question, yay or nay, yes or no, these are not trick questions.
Yes.
Right? All I'm asking you is what your position is. You start to give me a monologue, which is a tactic that people employ when they don't know what they're talking about. Now, when you say, I don't know either, are you telling me, all I want to know is a yes or no. Are you telling me that I do not know that the causal principle is real?
Me knowing something or not doesn't
No,
affect
stop
reality.
right there. I am about to server mute you. Do you understand the warning I'm giving you? I would rather not do that.
Yes.
Okay?
I don't have absolute
I'm asking you. Okay, listen to me carefully. I'm not asking you about certainty. I am asking you a legitimate yes or no question. Okay?
Yes.
Now, if I hear anything out of your mouth,
okay, I will answer.
Other than yes directly. Or no, I will okay, if I hear your voice while I'm talking, I will server mute you. Okay. Now, I'm asking you a yes or no question, and it is a legitimate yes or no question. When you say, I don't know either, is it your position that you are asserting that I do not know that the causal principle is real?
In an absolute sense, no. I don't know. In an absolute sense.
Okay, listen to me carefully. Yes. One last chance. All I want to hear out of your mouth.
Yes.
Okay, good. Now, so you're saying that I do not know that the causal principle is real, but you added the word either. Do you include yourself as not knowing that the causal principle is real?
Yes, I don't know. I don't know.
Okay, good. Now, is your chain of explanation for the mind?
Yes.
Does it ultimately derive and depend upon the causal principle being real? All I want to hear is a yes or no.
Yes.
Does your chain of reasoning?
Yes.
Good. So everything that you've said is based upon I don't know.
No. I made a hypothesis. I don't know if it's true, but it might be true.
Socrates, listen to me. You are ill-equipped for this conversation. Everything you just asserted is based upon the causal principle. Yes. But you told me you don't know the causal principle is real. If you don't know it's real, then everything you build upon it is not necessarily true.
Let me respond to that, sir. Okay. I made
Do you want true or false?
I made
is all of your wow, you know what? Goodbye.
Okay. Okay, this guy's a joke. If he let me for 5 seconds, I would have ended him. Okay, 5 seconds. If he let me for 5 seconds, I would have ended him.
That his entire discursive reasoning derives from the causal principle that he doesn't know is real. So everything that builds upon that, he cannot. Okay, all right, you're okay.
If you let me for 10 seconds, I will end your argument.
Enjoy the red badge of courage. Okay. Next, if anyone wants to comment, good or bad,
yes,
floor's open.
All right, cool stuff. So I'm a Muslim, okay? I disagree, obviously. You can probably guess why with everything you say. But, I mean, the underlying arguments are pretty all right. So what do you want to discuss?
Does Allah have all great-making properties?
Yes, alhamdulillah.
Okay. Does he possess a mind?
Yes, alhamdulillah.
Yeah, why are you...
Guys, what I did now, I gave him a plausible. Okay, he said he presupposes that we can only come to truth if there is some kind of mind, some kind of logos that all that Platonic truths depends upon. First of all, Platonic truths doesn't require necessarily God. Okay, so in fact, ancient Greeks said that there is the law or nomos that even gods obey. In other words, he never demonstrated that Platonic truths necessarily require a god. What I did, I gave him another alternative. I said that what if our mind is tuned by evolution to recognize the patterns of the universe in order to survive? And we get the order from this way. he said, do you know that as a fact? I said, I don't know that as a fact in an absolute sense. That is what I believe. But what I did is, when I gave an alternative, I destroyed his deductive argument, because his deductive argument presupposes that the only alternative is God, is the mind of God. So what I did is I destroyed his deductive argument. So now his presuppositional apologetics doesn't work, because he also needs to demonstrate his position. His position is not the only alternative. What I would have said next is that I don't believe about the logical absolutes. I would have said that without minds there are no logical absolutes. There are objects. A rock is still a rock, but there aren't any minds to recognize truth, to insert the truth to the rock being a rock. So logical absolutes necessarily required a mind. And what I would have done to prove that is that I would have asked him, you claim that we need the mind of God for logical absolutes to exist. Why? So, in other words, you need consciousness for logical absolutes to exist. Okay, in that way, you are saying that we need consciousness for logical absolutes. So, in the hypothesis that in this universe there are no mind, by your admission there is no consciousness. There are no minds. By your admission there are no logical absolutes. Okay, simple as that. So in other words, he admits that without minds there are no logical absolutes, when he inserts that we necessarily need the mind of God for logical absolutes. Darth Dawkins is a dishonest, intellectually dishonest. He doesn't let people talk. When he feels threatened, he makes he's how do you call it? Sophist. Darth Dawkins is a sophist. He's not a real philosopher. He doesn't value truth. He doesn't search for truth. He just searches to win arguments. Okay, so he stages things in order to corner the interlocutor to accept his logic, which is flawed. Okay, so a person who doesn't seek for truth, but he seeks to win arguments, he is not a philosopher, he is a sophist. Thank you very much.